Wonderful voices there. Fantastic. Okay, now we're going to move along right away to our next panel. Okay, so I'd first of all like to invite up the moderator. I should say our next session, it is entitled EdTech Trends That Are Here to Stay. So I'm going to invite up our moderator, Dr. Adjunct Professor Mohammed Arkan bin Sheikh Munaim, CEO of Mega Jati Academy. Come on up, Doctor. There he is. Let's give him a round of applause as he makes his way up to the stage. Okay, and the rest of our panelists. Let's welcome up Thivya Anathan, founder and CEO, Elite Academy. Rashan Senayake, founder, Inspired Education Australia. Dr. Rahayu Ahmad Bhatia, senior lecturer, Institute of Amindin Baki. And Dr. Fazhad Mohammadi, founding principal and CEO, International British Online School. Let's give them all a round of applause. Fantastic. Now over to you, Dr. Mohammed, our moderator. The microphones are right there on the table.
Okay, good evening, everyone. Again, it's great to see everyone here today and this evening. And myself, Muhammad Arkan bin Sheikh Munaim, try to moderate this session for this evening regarding the topic EdTech trends that are here to stay. And we are here all in Dubai, and we are proud to have our panelists from London. We have Dr. from FAR, Dr. Farshad from London, and Dr. Rahayu from Malaysia, my colleague from Malaysia. And we have also Ms. Divya from Switzerland, the YM Stone, and also Mr. Rashan. Mr. Rashan is just beside me here. So today we have a topic on EdTech trends that are here to stay. And I would like to have a very good session. We'll try to having this session, first of all, maybe with the introduction of all panelists by themselves. And secondly, I will throw a few questions for them, for each panelist. And then I will open up to the floor to have or to raise the question related to the topic today, which is EdTech or education technology that are here to stay. How it's relevant, how to put in engagement to the students, how it can be beneficial for current and future generations. And hopefully from there we can have something that we can bring back to our countries and make it move over there. So again, let's start with introduction. I can start from far first. Here, pass to you, Dr. Farshad. Start of introducing yourself and maybe about 2 to 3 minutes. Thank you.
Thank you. I hope everyone can hear me. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Farshad Mohammadi. I know everyone's quite bored now. We've been talking about AI and digital technology. We've had some inspirational discussions this afternoon, so I hope you're going to find this session useful as well. So I've been in education for 2 decades. I started my journey up the ladder as a teacher of maths and then became a head of maths in schools in London, mainly mainstream schools, and then went up the ladder of senior leadership. And during my senior leadership, I also worked as an advisor to the Ministry of Education, Department for Education. I was also Her Majesty's Inspector for Ofsted, and I also worked with the steering group that led the new National Curriculum Framework for Mathematics in the UK. And then after that, I was positioned here in Middle East within the GCC countries, mainly to go in and inspect and moderate British schools. And the idea of our institution that is called International British Online School was born here when we realized that quite a lot of students who have the potential of going to the like of Ivy League and Russell Group universities were missing on the opportunities simply because they did not have the aspiration nor the support that they required to be able to achieve this goal. And we knew that the alternative pathway will be online education. This is back in 2017. way before the pandemic. And then we established ourselves in 2019, and we are relatively a young online school, but we work on the guidance of the Department for Education in the UK. We are an accredited school. We cater for students age 6 to 19. And we are a British school, so we do the British curriculum as such. And currently we have 36 nationalities representing our school. So we cater for students around the world, and they receive the same education, if not better, in terms of quality, and the same experience of British schooling at the luxury of being home, having their parents around with them, and yet receiving the quality education and the qualifications they deserve. I think that's more than 3 minutes.
Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. Thank you, Dr. Farshad. So we move to Rahayu. May introduce yourself and let's see how background of the panelist, second panelist. Please.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Arkam. So I'm Rahayu Ahmad Batiar. I come from Malaysia. So I'm currently working with the Institute Aminuddin Baki, which is actually a national Institute of Educational Management and Leadership under the Ministry of Education of Malaysia. So I've been 20 years in education field, and it's basically, current role is actually we train the educational leaders in Malaysia. And of course, we have a number of collaboration with international institute or organization outside Malaysia. So you are welcome to have say hello to me, and I bring my colleague, which is the head of department of the international and foreign collaboration. Apart from training, actually we do provide for consultation, coaching, mentoring, assessment, as well as do research related to educational leadership and management. So thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Ayu. This related to the education management, precisely on the higher education. Let's see on how the education trends can be useful in our current technology. So we move to Tiff. Maybe you can start to introduce yourself. Start with.
Hello. Okay. Super. Hi everyone. So I'm Divya Nantan, founder and CEO of Elite Academy, based in Switzerland, Zurich, and a part-time lecturer. So before I start to introduce my mission, I want to ask you, what's your mission and vision in this whole educational journey? Just think about it. You could just think now or later, but just think. So I found my vision, and that really changed my life. We as Elite Academy are on a big mission for education, because I personally think that education can change everything. Education is all about science. And science is all about creating knowledge, right? And we as Elite Academy help kids, teens, students, but also adults to create that knowledge. So we as Elite Academy want that we could produce and create scientists, innovators, entrepreneurs, and inventors for this world, for this nation. So that's my big vision, that's in my heart. So that's why I think that's the important question. What's our mission? What's into our heart? So yeah, that's why I'm here now, and yeah, we will take a bit later. Thank you.
Thank you, Chief. Actually, just to remind again, or just to, as a introduction, our Dr. Farshad from London, Dr. Ayu from Malaysia, we have Switzerland, Chief, and also Russian from Australia. So please, Russian, introduce yourself and as well see what we can do.
Good afternoon, everyone. I think when usually people look at me, they don't guess Australia. So I was originally born in Sri Lanka and moved there when I was about 10 years old. So Australia is home, and sometimes I get scammed when I go back home to Sri Lanka. So it's one of those situations. But what we do in education is quite simple. We teach teachers. And what do we teach? Design thinking alongside emerging technologies. So this panel obviously being the discussion about EdTech trends here to stay, technologies, I'm always up for it. So let's go.
Okay, that's great. That's great. Okay, now that's why I'm asking our background and the country of origin, because we want to know, we want to understand some things that related to the framework of education technology that may be different in other country practices. So that is why we are very glad to have from the UK, from Malaysia, from the Europe, and also from the Australia, that side, the eastern side of the world. So we have a varieties of these diverse representatives from all over the part of the world. So the first question, maybe we can ask on Rashan regarding this importance of teachers training and education technology integration. As we know that when we talk about education technology, it started, I'm not sure when, but as far as I can remember, in the 80s, for example, we have a board and chalk to write. They were started where I was in the school that time, and then we moved to OHP, if you remember, overhead projector, or things like you have to flip this kind of project, transparency, plastic, and write on it, and then you do, if you manage to have that era. And then we moved to, in year 2000, while whiteboard is there, we start to use our, what we call it, PowerPoint in year 2000. And then we move again to things like now in 2024, I think we got more technology coming in and how it become more useful from day to day. And after COVID also, the influence of having this kind of remote learning now been immersed and also been surfaced, that it will be the new technology and era. So Rashan, what you can say about the first thing regarding this importance of teacher training in education and technology integration? Pass to you.
I think it was one of the topic panels in the morning as well, empowering teachers. And from my perspective, just to share a little story, the reason I'm actually here was due to one of the best teachers that I've ever come across in high school in Australia. And the following pathway that I was originally going to take was in medicine, but the reason I went down to design and technology was because of the teacher that showed me those pathways. So if the teacher in itself doesn't have the training, or they're feeling more and more overwhelmed, then that's going to directly start to impact the students in itself. So I think teacher empowerment is key to the society, and whatever the country context, they're the ones who are going to know, they're the ones molding the future generations.
There will be the pushing factor, the starter factors. You start from teachers first.
Absolutely, and I think doesn't matter what year level the teacher is teaching or in charge of the subject matter, technology is encroaching on that now. So they're more powerful tools, they're adapting quicker. So I think new models of learning those technologies needs to be a very priority context.
Seriously, this will be very, very great. And then on how we can, you can add on the training education for the leaders, I mean the teachers now, and how it can be improved. Well, while we are knowing that there are diverse of teachers in terms of the ranges, the experience, the age, for example. We have senior teachers and also the young teachers coming in. So how to close the gap so that we can have a common solution for the teachers' preparation at the moment, because we want to talk about teachers first, as mentioned by Rashan just now. Let's see and how we can close the gap so that these leaders become teachers in future can be delivering their content in the context of updated and also according to the education trend that we have now.
Thank you, Arkam. Okay, before I answer that question, maybe I would just to add in that as a leader, actually, we have to buy in them first. Is the leader have to accept the educational technology first in order for the organization to easily, fully utilize the education technology. Do you agree with my opinion? How many of you agree with that? Okay, thank you. Okay, so because if the leader didn't accept that, it's quite difficult for the organization or the staff to implement it. You will have a lot of rejection, a lot of questions being asked. Okay, so first the leaders might accept, so it's easier, and they will support the system for the educational technology to be implemented. Okay, come back to the question now. It's actually, when we talk about that, it's the competency of the teachers, I think. We are talking about the competency of the teachers in the educational technology itself. So in here, I think, of course, the leaders will play a big part or important parts of it. Because in terms of the education technology, what the leaders should know is actually they have to know, or they have to be good in planning and manage their staff or their teachers in terms of the educational technology competency. So it means that they have to understand the needs of their teachers. Who are the teachers? Which cluster or which group of teachers, and what type of competency that actually they need? Because not the same. Let's say you have a 10% or maybe like 100 teachers in that school. So it's different needs. So how you want to cater for this professional development of this teacher? So that is what the educational leaders should plan and manage about.
Okay, nice. So meaning to say that we need to prepare the teacher for the current education technologies so that they can go to the school or to the institution and bring up the technology into the school, into the institution to our next generation. And maybe Tiff, you can add on benefit of EdTech teachers training. For now, for example, we are having the IoT, for example. We have coming now to the Industrial Revolution 4.0, talking about AI, talking about VR, talking about those kind of technology tools that can be useful in the classroom. So, Tiff, maybe you can add on that?
So, the world is changing fast. Say yes. Yes? Yes. Okay, so education, of course, is changing all over the world, especially in EdTech and this whole technology. So I think virtual learning and digital learning is the key nowadays. When I went to school, we had just books to read and images to look into. So, but nowadays, when I give classes, our students, especially in science, they learn with virtual reality. For example, they learn how our human body works or how our brain functions with the virtual reality. So the concept is, it's the next level. So we had to ask ourselves, how could we prepare our teachers that we are really prepared for that? It's not a problem, but it's another level. For that next level, we should be prepared. So I'm not a fan of grades. I don't like grades because I think students don't should just judge by grades, right? So I think it's more important that we as educators and teachers, we could learn them how discipline works, or how to be motivated, and of course the endurance they have. That's more important than grades, I think. So when students come to us, the first thing we tell them is we don't want to get them better grades or just do better in school just because of grades. That's not our goal. Our goal is that a child can, with help of EdTech or with help of ourselves as educators and teachers, discover their mission and their vision. That's our goal. So, and of course, with these EdTech tools, we really try to get them motivated. Like, I don't know if you know, but in Switzerland, we have 4 national languages, and one of them is French. So I'm from Zurich, and we are the German part of Switzerland. My students, basically from the German part, they don't like French. So that's a problem. So what I was asking myself is, how could I bring them that French interesting, that they love it? So I tried things out, like we tried to connect with teachers from France and teachers from the French part of Switzerland to connect with them, because I personally believe when you teach languages, it's not about vocabulary or it's not about just words and grammar. It's about everything like manners, cultures, people, and eating habits, and fashion, probably. So we tried this out like once in a month. We connected with this EdTech, e-learning, students from France and Paris to Elite Academy, that they could learn from experts from France, their cultures. So, and see, they loved it. They ask me every time, oh, when is the next class? When is the special class? We call them special class. So I think that makes a difference. And that's because of EdTech. And that's why EdTech is important. And we teach also teachers how to use these tools. That's basics.
Okay, that's fine. That's very,
Thank
very
you.
great. Okay, talking about that, I've heard about remote learning just now. I've heard about what we call just now, the terms of kind of remote
E-learning.
E-learning, yes,
Yeah,
e-learning. And before I pass question to our Dr. Farshad now, maybe after Dr. Farshad, we can open for the floor to any question. Just get ready. One more panelist will go for first round session. Then we'll pass if there are any question from all the participants. Okay, Dr. Farshad, if we go for that kind of e-learning, for example, we need to have technology behind. We talk about the internet stability. We talk about the teachers' competency to use it and how it can be beneficial. And later on, we need to talk about time zoning, for example. For example, here in Dubai is maybe 4 or 5 o'clock, and some other part of the world during that night. So how we can simultaneously doing this in the way that benefit for everybody? For example, we got the French teachers to teach in the Switzerland, for example. The time zone is quite maybe similar, but other part of the world, when you want to take the same benefit from this education technology, please.
Sure, I think I'd like to, I'm probably a good reference to this myself because we are a fully online school and we have got this issue of time zone. But I think before I get started, I happened to be at a similar conference about 3 months ago in London where we had about 150 head teachers, London head teachers. And the panel, the theme of the conference was AI in education. One of the first questions we asked was, how many of you think that the AI in education is useful? And how many of you think it's not useful? I'd like to probably ask that question here as well, because I'm sure everyone's probably using that in their own practices. So show of hands, how many of you think that AI has been beneficial since inception? Brilliant. And it's pretty much 50-50, because we had that as well over there, where we had almost half the people saying it's not very useful and the other half saying it's useful. But interestingly, one of the panelists said, well, when calculators were invented and came to practice as well, there was quite a lot of resistance to it as well. Technically speaking, thinking about the world, we have a digital globe, village, and obviously, you know, I've written an article about this, calling students of this generation as digital nomads. I'd like to think if I put 10 students from my school in the same classroom, they probably will get their phones out within a couple of minutes, and I'm seeing a lot of nodding heads around the room as well. I don't think there is ever a challenge in terms of time zone or being able to access resources, because there are lots of different facets, lots of different platforms and methodologies of accessing information. If it's hybrid, if it's blended learning, or if it's live, obviously students can access and educators can also rapport with their students worldwide. But I think going back to what my colleague here was saying in terms of the importance of AI and digital technology, I'm going to look at it a little bit more from a practical point of view, because I've served at physical brick and mortar schools, but I'm now serving as a principal of an online, fully online school. And what I'm seeing is that a lot of students that we used to have as students that have fallen through the net in a mainstream education system, those who've had disability or vulnerabilities, they've had SEND, and they probably had a teacher assistant sitting with them, and they would be feeling absolutely embarrassed that somebody's actually sitting right next to them to try to decode. a lot of those students are now actually plowing through using this technology. A lot of our so-called middle ability, low ability students are nowadays using the AI technology simply because it gives them that freedom and accessibility for them to be able to decode language of teachers, which is sometimes very difficult for them to understand. I was talking to one of our students a few weeks back, and he was saying that 3 times I've asked my teacher about a concept of mathematics. Everyone probably has heard of Pythagoras before, and I could not really understand what was going on. And then I asked ChatGPT there, and then I understood what was going on. So I think we should see it as a supplementary tool that can support every stakeholder. And I think I can speak on behalf of everyone here as a senior leader, school leader. Your biggest dilemma in school when you're talking to your teachers is workload. Do you have that? Teachers complaining about workload? Oh, I've got too much on my plate. I can't get things done. So I think what we've seen in terms of the mindset, certainly in the UK, because there's a big push and drive in terms of using the AI technology in order to assist teachers and lecturers and educators with the administrative part of their job, writing their reports, assessments, marking, feedback. And it has been a major driver in terms of keeping the motivation going and streamlining the workload of staff members. We're still not there yet with it because obviously it's an ever-evolving technology. Every week we're learning about new techniques and technology, but I genuinely think that we are stepping towards the right direction. And like I said at the beginning, there are no obstacles in terms of accessing information, be it time zone or any other drivers.
Yes, great. Thank you, Dr. Farshad. So do you have any question from the floor, if any? One? Yeah, got two? Serious? Okay. Got two, okay. Yeah, please.
Again, hi. My name is Nazik, and I work in the EdTech as well. So I promote education technology in the institutes or higher institutes. So we have been facing a lot of resistance from teachers to use education technology because, like you said, there's a lot of workload for the teachers, planning, grading, doing a lot of assessments, blah, blah. So now we're putting on them another stress of learning how to use a tool or a technology that they need to use to make their learning effective. So how do we deal with these resistance, first of all? And second of all, if there's no policies from the leadership, I mean, there's no encouragement, like you said, one of you said about something about leaders encouraging EdTech use in the institute or the organization. So how do we make leaders aware of that AI is coming to stay, or education technology now, we're using a lot of tech tools in education, and they need to be aware about that and promote it as well. So what plans, how can we do that?
Okay, thank you, Miss. Okay, maybe I'll pass. Okay, continue.
A couple of things, actually. One of the things that we've seen results in Australia is, even in this conference today, we talk a lot about learning and teaching, and no one talked about actually the educating the adult learning model for teachers, right? Teachers have to be expected to take on these tools. AI, for example, has the potential of saving a lot of time. So one of the things that we've seen really well is when the tool is shown to the teachers, educators, using adult learning models, not the same way as teaching anyone and everyone, not the same way that you would teach children, then showing something as simple as how do you build a chatbot for their history subject or math subject or science subject so that the million questions that comes at them can be handled by AI, that's when their eyes light up. And when they're a 60-year-old teacher who, they might struggle with putting on a formula into Excel, but they're able to then build a chatbot within a couple of hours, couple of show and tells, that's when we see the biggest difference. That, I think, can work for anyone.
Okay, thank you. Farshad, you got anything to add?
I just may add to what my colleagues were saying here. I think the biggest challenge that you might be facing is the lack of awareness of how beneficial the tools might be, and a lot of that comes with training. But I know in schools, any change will actually receive quite a lot of resistance. And I've seen that with the introduction of laptops in one of my schools 15 years ago, to actually buying into a progress data system where all departments had to use consistently the same tracking system to monitor attainment and progress. I think the key is continued professional development and, of course, making sure that your leaders are bought into the benefits and advantages, but teachers don't like to be told what they need to do. They need to be shown what they need to do. And through the demonstration of showing how easily it can be utilized, but also the benefits and the impact it will have, at the end of the day, if you show impact and it also shows that it's saving them quite a lot of time, but it enhances the consistency and enhances the quality, I can guarantee you that my teachers right now are writing some of the best reports I've ever seen in my life for our students, thanks to ChatGPT. And I'm sure everybody will agree with that. You know, back 3 years ago, I would have to proofread with the team, the administration's team and the SLT, every single report, and we'll find quite a lot of grammar and you know, you name it, problems with all the text. But you know, I think it's all about continued professional development and chunking it. You know, if you're going to go down the road of let's all start a new initiative, you need to break it down. Little by little, you bring them on board. It's going to be a 12 months to 18 months project. And of course, it has to be continuous because people forget.
Okay, wait. We still got about 11 minutes. Just to add on, the question will be posted to you now. For example, in education, where they cannot run from the taxonomy, for example, the assessment will be covered from cognitive, affective, and also the psychomotor domain, all those things. And can it be, maybe, Chief, assessed through this kind of remote learning, or e-learning, or ODL, or even LMS, for example? Is it possible to assess all those kind of taxonomy or domain, covering all this taxonomy, covering all this cognitive, affective, and also psychomotor? Is it okay, possible?
Yes. What's the question?
Okay,
again?
sorry, maybe Ayu.
On the assessment.
Assessment, covering all these kind of domains.
Yeah, actually it's possible in terms of assessment, because we actually, it's just that, of course, when we talk about assessment, we have to have the instrument. So in developing the instrument, then we have to go back to what domains that we are actually measuring. So you're supposed to measure what is supposed to measure. So that's why when we talk about assessment, we can't talk about reliability, validity, and it's the fairness of the assessment, as well as it must be relevant to the current situation. It means when we come back to the principle of assessment here, it means that we have to assess, let's say we are talking about the current trends of the EdTech, it means that it must be relevant to the current trends. So it's possible.
It must be parallel with that
Yes.
EdTech together. So, Tiff, you want to add?
Yeah, I want to add just, I personally really force my teachers to learn this tech, because like one example from my Elite Academy, there's a tool for solving math problems for students. So when they use this tool will not tell them the answer, but how to get there. So when teachers could use them, we as educators or teachers as well could focus on soft skills, or I think hard skills. Someone said hard skills. So I think that's another. We have more time and more energy to invest that in something different, something that's equally important as that one. So, yeah.
If one more question, I think, from this side, I've seen just now. Is there any more question? No, Sheila, okay. Okay, good. You got some more? Oh, okay, please. Yes.
Sorry, I'm trying to walk fast but not run at the same time. Wonderful discussion. My question is around the relationship between EdTech and pedagogy. Sometimes head teachers, EdTech can get very trendy and buzzy, And I've seen head teachers adopt it without a technology, whether that's VR headsets or something else, without fully understanding and embracing both its potential and its limitations. And the teachers deal with the fallout. But in terms of classroom implementation, I'd like to know what, as a panel, what you think the balance should be, because there's an element where the teacher needs to learn the technology themselves in order to be able to use it. But then I think there's a difference between learning how the technology works and learning how to use it and implement it effectively in the classroom. So for example, if you have one VR headset for 30 children, how do you do that? Versus 15 VR headsets for 30 children. It's a completely different lesson, but there's a balance there. And so how do we achieve that? Because obviously I think we want the effective use. How do we get there?
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. So there's a contradiction. It's not a contradiction. It's just an unparalleled situation between EdTech and pedagogy. Maybe traditional way or in the previous way how we learn pedagogy at that time. So any other panel? Yeah.
So I think it's very important for us to remember that AI is not replacing, or the education technology is not replacing the role of us as educators. We need to understand that all of these tools are basically support tools that will enhance our pedagogical skills. I now know that staff can potentially just type in a few words, get a lesson plan generated within minutes, a PowerPoint generated within minutes, and just go off to deliver the lesson. But that's not what AI technology is used for, or the use of digital tech should be used for. And it's very important that the context of the students and the school is at the forefront of everything we do when it comes to plan, teach, mark, all of our review, daily pedagogical strategies that we use. And once it's used effectively, you could almost immediately see the impact, because the human nature of a teacher being the facilitator rather than the front of the classroom can never be replaced. And we are the people who know and can build rapport with those young learners. And the AI is only a supplementary support tool for us to be utilizing that. Now, going back to the issue of having 30 VR sets or not having, all of that, I think a lot of that is to do with management of resources and utilizing the right technology that you have available to you, and then being able to plan ahead with what you have. I genuinely believe that you don't even need to have all of those hard tech equipment to be able to use the AI or digital tech. Just there are so many features if you are using different software or platforms that you can utilize. One of the ones that, for example, we use, which is very useful, and because we have students from a variety of different backgrounds, almost 98% of all of our students are EAL, English as an additional language. And sometimes it's very difficult for them to access the British accent or access the content the teacher is delivering. Therefore, we've enabled this feature for them to be able to get the subtitles translated. And as they get more enhanced in terms of their English skills, then we are removing basically kind of words within sentence, or just highlighting keywords or the glossary words that they need to know. So it's all about planning with the right strategies and equipment and technology that you have. And I genuinely think that everything and anything can be achieved.
Thank you. So we come into discussing about the challenges related to the remote learning, related to the EdTech now. Can we name few EdTech education technology that we have now currently in the world for 2024? Maybe, Prashant?
Sure. I think AI gets a lot of the buzz because it's the kind of leading the way, it's mainstream. But when we look at emerging technologies, something as simple as edge computing is not something that people are very familiar with. But it is amalgamating itself with AI. So we're kind of coming to a converging point. But there's virtual reality, mixed reality, or augmented reality. There's spatial computing now part of that mix as well as of last month. There's things like actual 12D modeling, which is software used but from a CAD perspective. So those are just the main ones, but there's all these other ones, like, for example, IoT is a big spectrum of things as well.
Yeah, so IoT is actually playing the real important tools now related to education and many other things as well. Yeah.
Correct. IoT fits into almost anything. We could have IoT sensors in this room to get live feedback.
Yeah, then come out into other technologies come in. So maybe for you, Tiff, later on the education technology, education trends, maybe you want to add?
Yes. Yeah, we are working on a plan, so I think I can't tell you all the details, but our plan is to offer education from anywhere, because one of our goals is to prepare students for the university entrance exams, so in Switzerland. So, but that's just for Switzerland, but we want that our students go abroad or go to US, to London to study. We are looking for opportunities to connect with the world, to connect with educational institutions, schools, universities, to get them there. Because I personally know students nowadays, they don't want to just study in Switzerland and do college there, to university there. They want to explore the world and go and look beyond.
Yeah.
That's why. So I think in that case, e-learning is something very important.
Okay, thank you, Zif. We need to conclude things. For example, whatever that emerging technology is coming in, education technology coming in, there must be something reserved in terms of this cyber security, in terms of these ethical values, in terms of how you want to behave on the net rather than you come into the classroom, physical classroom. So Ayu, maybe you want to add on how the ethics or ethical parts in the education technology can become a part of integral into this education system.
Okay. Actually, when we talk about educational technology or any technology in the world, we can't control because the evolution, the way we use it. So there's always positive and negative side of it. But as a human being, or as we as educators, what we should do. So I would like to come to 2 points. Like the previous slot, we always talk about 3 points, right? So this slot, we talk about 2 points. Okay, the first one is actually, I would love the word discernment. So we talk about cultural discernment or else, or whatever that have been discussed from the previous slot. So this is about discernment, means that how you judge whether it's correct or wrong. So we as educators must make the students, or we also must have the judgment to do what's right and wrong. Actually, we can't control. So for example, previously, so for us to prevent our stuff from being stolen, what do we do? We put maybe padlock, we put password. Okay, but we have the technology, so it's evolved from padlock maybe to the digital lock, all of this. But what do people do? They have more advanced technology to hack the padlock, to hack our password, correct or not? Okay, so we can't control all this. But if we inculcate or we nurture the values, okay, among our children, so then it will be better.
Thank you. I think the monitor now is showing the time's up over there. So I think a lot of questions are still going on, but we have a very, very limited time. I would like to thank everybody, every panelist of our session for this evening, and thank for all of the participants of this conference. And I would like to say, hopefully, by having this kind of session, moderation, we can see the future and the current technology that we have in education technology and how to bring it back in the way that beneficial for our countries and for our future generations. So thanks Farshad, thanks Rashan, thanks Tiff, and also Ayu, and hopefully to see you again in the next conference maybe in Dubai next year. Thank you so much. And thank you so much.
Thank you so much to our wonderful panelists.